All right, so now we're going to make these just a little bit harder, okay? So if we look on page 12 at example 1, if you look at this, you can see I can take a 3 out. So that would be x squared plus 3x minus 4. So now remember, we're going to ignore the 3. And I'm going to get my final answer. I'm just going to do the inside. So I'm going to do this inside right here. So I'm going to do factors of a negative 4 that subtract to 3. Wouldn't that be 4 and a negative 1? So I'm just doing the inside, plus 4x minus 1x minus 4. Here I can take out an x. Here I can take out a negative 1. So one of my answers is what's inside the parentheses. One of my answers what in front. Now you only set things with x is equal to 0. A lot of kids want to take and set the 3 equal to 0, but it doesn't have an x on it. It's just a 3. I'm going to show you something with that here in a minute. Okay, so when you do that, one of my answers is a negative 4, and one of my answers is 1. Okay. All right, so I'm going to show you something on the Desmos, on figuring this out. I just think it would be important for you to see this because I think it might help you understand a little bit better. Okay, oh, why does it keep doing that? Get rid of this guy. Okay, I'm going to put the original problem in. 3x squared plus 9x minus 12. Okay, and I had zoomed way out because that last one we did was like 81. I should just, you know what? I'm going to do this. I'm going to open it, a brand new one back up. There. Okay, 3x squared plus 9x minus 12. Okay, that's a little bit better. There. Okay. Does it hit at 1 and a negative 4? And that's what I got. If you look over there to the left, I got 1 and a negative 4. So I got those answers. Okay, we also factored it, and we got 3 parentheses, x minus 1 and x plus 4. Okay, that blue went on top of the red. Do you see it's not there anymore? Okay, now some kids want to do something when they're finding roots. The 3 didn't affect it, right? Now watch what happens here. What if I completely take the 3 off? It's still, so what the 3 does, it's still, the green is still hitting at 1 and a negative 4. You could put anything you wanted in front of that. 7 just makes it bigger. If I put a 1/3 in front of it, it would make it wider, but it's still hitting at 1 and a negative 4. So that number in front, if it doesn't have an x with it, you don't have to set it equal to 0. So sometimes if it has an x with it, you do. And we've done some ones like that already, and we'll probably do some more. But if it's just a number, it's just making the stretch different. Okay, so on the next one, to make it easier, I would take out a 5 to begin with. X squared minus 4x minus 12. Way smaller. So the 5 is part of my dilation. And now I'm going to do factors of a negative 12 that subtract to negative 4. That's a negative 6 and 2. So I have x squared minus 6x plus 2x minus 12. I can take an x out of the front. I can take a 2 out of the back. So my two answers, x minus 6 and x plus 2. This 5 does not have an x with it. So it doesn't affect my answer. So I'm just doing inside the parentheses. So 6 and a negative 2. Okay. This is where they start getting a little harder, and that's why we're going to practice a few of these. So on example 3, I can't take anything out, so I'm going to do factors of a negative 10 that add up to 3. So isn't that 5 and a negative 2? So 2x squared plus 5x minus 2x minus 5. So I can take an x out of the front. I can take out a negative 1, because then that would make it positive. So now my parentheses match. 2x plus 5 and x minus 1. So this one, I'm going to solve. 2x plus 5 equals 0. I would subtract the 5 and divide by 2. This one I can kind of do in my head. Isn't it just going to add 1? So my answers are a negative 5 halves and a positive 1. Okay. Same thing on the next one. You can't take anything out. So what I'm going to do, you multiply the outside. So that's 8 times 5. So that's 40. That add up to a negative 22. Well, Well, it's got to be something big. So like negative 20 and a negative 2, right? That adds up to negative 22. Negative 20 and a negative 2. So on the front, I can take out a 4x. That gives me 2x minus 5. And in the back, I can take out something. So I got to take out a negative 1 because I need the 2 to become positive and I need the 5 to be negative. So my roots are 2x minus 5 and 4x minus 1. So these might be a little harder to do. So I'm going to solve. 2x minus 5 equals 0. I would add the 5 and divide by 2. So there's one of my answers. And then this one is 4x minus 1 equals 0. I would add the 1 and divide by 4. So my other answer is 1/4. Okay. All right. So what I would like you to do right now is I would like you to do pause the video and do question 1 and 3. All right, on question 1, you can take a 2 out of all of them. Okay, you can take a 2 out of all of them. And so that 2 is going to come down, and I'm going to ignore it, and I'm going to do factors of 4 that add up to 5. So that's 4 and 1. So x squared plus 4x plus 1x plus 4. What can I take out of the front? I can take an x out. X plus 4. What can I take out of the back? A 1. So you might have written it in the other order, but I think we're going to get the same answer. And so one of my answers is a negative 4 and the other is a negative 1. That one I can do in my head. Okay, on the next one, I'm going to do factors of the outside, negative 30, that subtract to 13. So my signs have to be different. So like it's got to be like a negative 1 and 30 because that gives me a positive number. Negative 2 and 15. Oh, there it is. A lot of kids want to say, no, Miss Williams, it's negative 3 and a negative 10. Well, that adds up to negative 13, but a negative times a negative is a positive. And this 30 is clearly negative, so it can't be 3 and 10. Okay, so I would have 3x squared minus 2x plus 15x minus 10. So here I can take out an x. And you might have written it the other way, which is fine, 5, and that would be 3x minus 2. So you even if you wrote it in a different order, we should get the same 2 sets of parentheses at the end. So here I would do 3x minus 2 equals 0. I would add the 2, divide by 3. So one of my answers is 2/3, and the other answer is a negative 5. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at just one more, and then I'm going to have you work. So I'm going to have you work a couple here. So that's factors of a negative 14 that add up to 13. So isn't that going to be 14 and negative 1? So 2x squared plus 14x minus 1x minus 7. So out of the front, I can take out a 2x. Out of the back, I got to take something out. So I'm going to take out a negative 1 because then the inside would match. So my factors are what's inside and what's in front. So one of my roots, that's kind of easy to see, is a negative 7, but this one has the x in front. So I'm going to have to solve it. So I would add the 1 and divide by 2. So my other answer is 1/2. Whoa, I can make them the one way really good, but not the other way. All right, so I would like you to do 6 and 8, okay? Please do 6 and 8. Okay, on 6, you have factors of 6 that add up to 5. Isn't that 2 and 3? So 6x squared plus 2x plus 3x plus 1. Here I can take out a 2x, which leaves me with 3x plus 1, which means I have to take a 1 out of there. So you might have had work different than me, but your parentheses should be the same as mine. Okay, and so now I would set them both equal to 0. 3x plus 1 equals 0. I would minus the 1 and divide by 3. So one of your answers should have been a negative 1/3. Here I would have minus the 1. Sorry. minus the 1 and divide by 2. So your other answer was a negative 1/2. And then if we do that last one, factors of 36 that add up to 12, that should have been 6 and 6. So 4x squared plus 6x plus 6x plus 9. I can take a 2x out of here. And I can take a 3 out of here. So my two answers are 2x plus 3 and 2x plus 3. So they're the same. So I really am only going to have one solution. So I'm going to set this equal to 0. I'm going to minus the 3 and divide by 2. So negative 3/2. Okay. All right. And again, I really don't want to do all of these. So we're going to just look at this. You can't do this unless it's set equal to 0. So I'm going to have to add the 2 to the other side. Now I can do the problem. Factors of 6 that add up to 7 are 6 and 1. So I'd have 3x squared plus 6x plus 1x plus 2. Okay, you have to get it equal to 0 before you can do the problem. All right, so that would be taking out a 3x. So that would give me x plus 2. And then here taking out a 1, which is x plus 2. So you get x plus 2 and 3x plus 1. So one of your answers is a negative 2, right? You can't really see my negative sign there. And the other answer is 3x plus 1 equals 0. I would minus the 1 and divide by 3. Okay. All right. I would like you to do 10 and 12. Pause the video and do 10 and 12. So again, I can't do it if it's not equal to 0. So I'm going to have to minus the 10x, and I'm going to write it in order. Minus 10x plus 3. So this is factors of 24 that add up to negative 10. That's a negative 6 and a negative 4. It can't be a negative 12 and a positive 2 because that multiplies to be a negative 24. So I'm going to put that in the middle. So 8x squared minus 6x minus 4x plus 3. I can take out a 2x. That leaves me with a 4x minus 3. And I can take out a negative 1. That leaves me with a 4x minus 3. So one of my factors is 4x minus 3, and the other is 2x minus 1. 4x minus 3 equals 0. I'm going to add the 3 and divide by 4. So one of my answers is 3/4. And 2x minus 1 equals 0. I'm going to add the 1 and divide by 2. Okay. All right, so on the last one, remember, when you have 2x squareds, you want to look for the bigger one. So I'm going to move stuff this way. So I'm going to minus x squared, so that's 4x squared, plus 7x, and I'm going to minus the 2. Okay, so minus 2. So I have factors of a negative 8 that add up to 7. If you did it the other way, I would strongly suggest against it because you end up with weird signs. So factors of a negative 8, so isn't that going to be 8 and a negative 1? So I can take out a 4x from the front and a negative 1 from the back. So it becomes a plus 2. So my answer is an x plus 2 and a 4x minus 1. So my final answer should have been a negative 2 and a positive 1/4.